Welcome back, my Nomads. Welcome back to another Bitcast. I'm back here with Zach. What's going on, Zach?
Hey man, happy Friday. How you doing?
I'm chilling. Um, got to see a few things here and there. Got to
Oh, so what'd you do?
I think I
Before we
saw
get
I think
into
I
the
told
stuff,
you I saw Civil War.
yeah.
And of course, like everybody else, I saw the ending of Shogun.
Mm. Everyone else?
Well, anybody who knows what's up, man, that show was dope. For
I've heard some people say they're not very impressed with it.
real. What, the show or the ending?
The show.
Okay. Interesting. Well, what are your thoughts? If you want to
On the
get right
show?
into it, unless you want to talk about something.
No,
Yeah.
let's bullshit a little bit. It's fine. You gotta, if you're gonna bed me, you gotta take me out to dinner first. So a couple things I wanted to get some thoughts on. So, have you noticed that do you watch any like cable TV anymore, like at all?
No,
Me
I
neither.
stopped like 2015.
It's crazy. Like, I watch like some channels just like aimlessly, but it's on the Samsung TV Plus thing.
Oh
Other than
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
other than that, I don't really watch TV. And it's like, wow, like streaming's so expensive, and people don't even realize how that stuff like stacks up, in terms of the cost. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I have quite a
TV's
few
cheaper.
streaming things through like free partnerships with stuff. So I have Hulu through a free partnership with a company, and then I have Max through a free partnership with a company. So I didn't realize how many I had until I counted today when someone asked me. I was like, oh, that's quite a
How many do you
few.
have?
So I got Paramount Plus, Peacock, Max, Hulu, Netflix, which is about to get killed off, Disney Plus. Um, damn, what's the other one I have? Crunchyroll, which is about to get the boot. Um, I got quite a few. I'm missing like one or two, but I got quite a few. That's
That's a lot.
eight. So I got like 10. Apple TV Plus, but that was from thing, so I'm not paying for it through
It's
a
worth it.
company. So yeah, dude, I got 9, bro. Prime TV
Yeah,
10.
don't forget Prime.
I got quite a few. I need to get rid of some.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
it's crazy.
I think the only two I pay for is Prime and Apple. It's because I'm part of the Apple ecosystem
Mm.
and I have Prime, but I buy so much stuff from Amazon Prime that it pays for itself. Like, I think every day
Oh
I'm
yeah, I
getting
have
something
Stars
new
too.
on Stars.
I recently got Stars.
I feel like
So
Stars
Stars,
are.
Peacock, and Paramount Plus, I paid the one fee for the year, and Disney Plus, I paid for the one fee for the year. So it's not like I'm paying monthly. Yeah.
How smart of you. I guess if you're going to pay for that kind of stuff, you got to at least do the annual. It saves you like 40%. Do the monthly
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
man, it's like it almost
ridiculous.
doubles the amount that you would just pay up front.
Yeah, which is why Netflix is going to get the boot. You know,
Because they
after
don't
I
give you a
see
choice.
Rebel Moon, nah,
I have Rebel Moon
they
on my
don't.
list. I can't wait to see that show.
That train wreck.
I can't actually. I'm looking forward to seeing that train wreck because it's like, but it's just like I just need to sit down and really just see like, wow, this is like the same thing, but just a do over.
Dude, uh, my head was hurting. What was it yesterday? I saw an article that said Zack Snyder was talking about Rebel Moon Part 2 plus the extended version of Part 1 plus the extended version of Part 2. I was like, why?
Why these extended versions are they better?
It doesn't matter if there are. Why are we doing extended versions when you're on Netflix already? Just put out the extended version as the one version. Why are we doing why are we essentially having 4 movies released that
I
are
don't care.
two like
Yeah. The only way the shortened version makes sense if you go to the movies and it's released in movies. But who's going to go see that in movie theater?
thank you, bro. Why are we doing if you're on a streaming service, why are you doing different versions of movies? I can understand why Ridley Scott put out a version of Napoleon in theaters, and then his own version. Well, he's planning to put out his own version in either a movie release or, I mean, a Blu-ray release or Apple TV. But why are we doing it if you're already on streaming? Zack Snyder, I don't get what you're doing. Like, I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but I'm honestly starting to think that this guy's going senile early in his life, or he's going through a midlife crisis
No,
or
he's a sellout.
something.
That's all it is. It's the
He's a
difference.
what?
He's a sellout.
I don't think he's a sellout. I think he's just drinking his own tea too much or something. Like, he's even talking about how, oh yeah, I had this amount of views on Netflix, but because multiple people are in the household, you got to times that by 3. It's like, what? Nah. Calm down, guy. No, like you're conflating numbers now. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, I don't know, man. And then hearing his recent interview about why he thinks Batman should kill, and I'm like, is this guy going through something right now? I know he went through something tragic years ago during the making of Justice League, but I'm like, right now in this very moment, is there something else going on? Do you need help? Let
Mm.
us know, because I
I
feel
mean,
like your
what are you
fans
gonna
aren't
do?
helping you out.
You're just
I
gonna stop
mean,
talking. You're just gonna stop saying how crappy his movies are. Is that all you're gonna say? Doing him a
I
solid.
honestly don't think I've been going hard on him. Like, I think I've been going too soft on his movies, man.
Oh, so we got a violent version of. Okay,
No,
all right.
I'm just saying.
Look, I don't
I'm
want
just a
YouTube to
guy
ban you, so
who
you can tell me after the fact. It's fine.
I'm a guy who loves Zack Snyder movies. Thought
Well, they're
he was
simple.
doing great,
They're
and then
to the point.
he's starting to fall off the wagon, so to speak. You know, I feel like ever since he signed on to do DC films, his quality's just gone down. And at first we was like, oh, his Snyderverse was bad because of studio interference. But I'm like, was it studio interference? Was it, or was it just you? I don't know. Maybe it was a combination of both. But what's going on, guy? What's going on? I'm all ears.
Mm,
But I don't know. I haven't seen Rebel Moon 2 yet, but
me neither.
I hear I'm hearing it's worse than the first one. Not even that it's just bad, but it's worse.
So,
I
how can it be worse?
That's what I want to know. That's why I'm so curious to see it, cuz I'm like, how Rebel Moon was bad. Like, how do you get worse from that, man?
Hmm.
I I just don't know. I don't know. Your thoughts?
On Rebel Moon, I don't need to spend my energy on that. I'm going to see it. I know it's going to be bad. It's going to be visually entertaining, and that's it. I mean, I don't know how else to really put it. I think they're Zack Snyder is just one of those guys now where it's at. It's just like, okay, it's just a visually stunning thing, and that's it. There's nothing sound about it anymore. They're not enjoyable in the sense like if you're expecting a story or if you're expecting anything else, like forget about it.
There's like no nuance with his stuff anymore. Do you remember Watchmen? There was
Yes.
some quiet, thoughtful parts in that film, very philosophical.
There's tons. It was a 3 hour movie too.
Yeah, the director's cut. Yeah, yeah, which is the better cut, honestly. But I'm like, what's going on with his latest stuff, man? Like Zombieland. Zombieland is like a roller coaster. Well, was it called Zombieland? His movie with Dave Bautista. I forgot what it was called.
Wasn't
But
Zombieland. It was the Land of the Dead or something like
oh
that.
yeah, yeah, something Landed the Dead or something. That was like a roller coaster. It was fun and entertaining, and it was so fun and action packed that I didn't really care so much that the story didn't really like flow well. But Rebel Moon, man, like I was watching a video the other day and someone was explaining it's so hard to do sci-fi because you have to create a whole different world um, and you have to engage the audience without giving them too much exposition into explaining the rules and the characters and the families and all of this and the kingdoms or whatever of the
Mm-hmm.
worlds. And I think he's right. I don't think it's just sci-fi. I think it's fantasy too. But you really gotta be a good storyteller. You know, you just can't be good visually. You got to be a really good storyteller with scripting and stuff to really engross your audience into the world. And you know, he has some good ideas. I think he needs someone to rein him in. I think he needs. I've said this before. He needs writers who can rein him in and focus his good ideas, kind of like how George Lucas was focused in 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars, and then he just went off the rails in 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, he needs some. He needs people to tell him no. He needs people to rein him. Like, you know, Zach, maybe we don't need a Griffin in the movie if it doesn't get brought up later in the movie. You know, maybe save that for the sequel if you have one or something. You know, save that for the comic book because there's a comic book too, ladies and gentlemen. So, but I don't know, man. Like, it's odd. It's like, you know how you know He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when that show started out, they used to call it what, the trash can, because they would throw everything in there. Like, there's robots, there's magic, there's like there's dinosaurs, all types of stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what Zack Snyder was trying to do with Rebel Moon, throwing all his ideas in there, but they're just not cohesive. They don't flow together. Surprisingly, He-Man kind of works, which is strange. I mean, you got a guy in a loincloth with a sword that gives him muscles, and you know, I don't know, but He-Man kind of works, whereas Rebel Moon doesn't. Nah, like Rebel Moon is bad He-Man, kind of, and you got a character that's like skinny
Bad
He-Man in Rebel
He-Man.
Moon. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know, I don't know, but yeah, that's
That
my
was a lot
thoughts.
to ingest.
I know, I didn't think I would go
Yeah,
that far.
you're going on to some monologue. I was like, oh man, this guy's just. You good?
I mean,
How you
feel
feeling?
free to cut in. You know, like,
I'm
I'm
just
sure I'm
watching
not
it.
the only one who feels this way.
I don't know how many people are going to put some thought into it either. They're like, wow, this is just bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm just expecting it to be bad, and that's it. And as long as there's a market for these type of movies, which there always will be, there will always be a Zack Snyder.
mm,
There's a
yeah,
market for these movies. Let's be real.
there
How
is. He
much did they cost? Are
has.
they expensive? Were they expensive to make?
I haven't heard anything. I would think so. The amount of green screen there's in
Where does
these
he do the
movies,
filming at?
green screens. I mean, if you watch the behind the scenes footage, like, I mean, his one of his producers was like, "We're not afraid to put green screen up." Like, you just see regular grass. They're obviously outside somewhere, and they just see green screens everywhere, just everywhere. Which I'm not knocking.
Someone's
You can
backyard
still
in
have green
LA? Is
screen.
that where they're doing it? I mean,
I mean, do you remember for the Snyder cut? He shot the Green Lantern footage in his driveway with some green screens, and they didn't even put it in the movie. But yeah, that's, the studio didn't let him put it in the Snyder cut, which is funny because I'm like, you're doing his cut anyway. That's not canon. Why does it matter?
mhm,
Because they were planning on doing the Green Lantern show,
right,
and so I'm like, what are we doing here? Why are you still taking stuff out of his cut when this is a cut that doesn't matter anyway?
right.
Whatever.
What? All right. So all right. So let's take this a few steps and let's just watch it, see what happens.
Yeah, let's let
We
it
can
breathe.
talk all the
Watch it.
shit we want about it later, which we will. And I'm just gonna like spend 2 hours. How long is it? 2 hours, 5 minutes, 10, 20
Let's check. Rebel
time I'm
Moon.
never gonna get back that I can spend doing something else.
Yeah,
And
and if he has extended version, why is
I'm not
your
doing it. I'm not watching
non-extended
it.
version
I'm not
like
watching it.
2 hours and? Oh, it's only 2 hours and 2 minutes. All right.
You know, when I'm on my deathbed and I'm thinking about all the times I didn't use my life right, I'm going to come back to this. It's like,
Oh my
I
god.
count at least an extra week of watching movies I shouldn't have watched.
Oh, it's Rebel Moon Part 1 was 2 hours and 13 minutes. For some reason, I thought it was longer.
It felt longer.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Is that good or bad?
It's bad, especially when he had that much action in it. Why did it feel so long?
It was all action.
Yeah, it was all action, cool slow mo stuff. You know what? That's why his movies are the length that they are. All the slow mo.
It's
That's
bad
why.
when you wag your finger. So, all right.
Oh man,
All right. So, I'm kind of curious about a couple things. So, you saw
what's
Civil
up?
War. I saw Civil
Yes,
War.
sir.
I saw a movie before you did.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ah,
Wow.
my man.
My man. I
Good
love
job.
it. I it was it's just having the opportunity. I had the opportunity, so I watched it and streamed it on my phone when I was working.
Oh geez, you saw it on your phone?
Yeah.
Heresy.
Well,
Heresy.
it's dude, my life's a lot more complicated than.
True.
Um yeah, so I watched it. It's like I don't care. I don't need to go to the movies to see something like this. It's cool, right? I
I mean, that's also true. I
couple
mean, our
things.
phones have 4K displays on them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I got all this I spent all this money on this stupid iPhone, might as well use it, right? I only used it for like business stuff. Um Anyway, I thought it was good, and it was just slow when the good parts were taking their sweet time fleshing out.
Mm. Okay.
What do you think?
Okay. I liked it. I thought it wasn't necessarily slow. I thought it was good because it was really good at building tension, but
Was it?
it
You
was
think so?
I think so, and it was also like a I want to say vignette movie where it's like this was a movie about moments, right? So
Yes.
they're on this road trip, and the whole movie's about, oh, at this stop this happens, at this stop this happens, at this stop at this happens. So it's trying to give you a feel of the world without telling you. It's showing you. It wants you to soak in what's going on. So when you have a movie like that and most of the parts are tension, the in between parts where it seems like nothing's happened, like, oh, they're getting chased by a car and it turns out to be their friends and they're doing this dumb stuff with switching people in cars,
Which
you're
I
just
didn't
sitting in
get.
your seat. You're just sitting in your seat because you're like, oh, something about to happen, yo. Like they're having
Yeah. The
fun, they're
girl
having a good
the
time.
girl jumps in,
And
he drives off, and then they get stopped. It's like, all right, so a couple things. One, what a hell of a time to bring something like this into theaters.
in election season, I'm thinking this was intentional. Shoot. Dear God.
Just given how everything's going right now, we're like one thing away for blaming the Jews for all of this nonsense, right? I see online all the time. It's like, oh no, the Civil War, no, the Jews did that. Like, all right, well,
He said, all right,
all
well,
right.
here we
So,
go.
no, a couple things. So, I like the moments. I like the moments because it was cataloged and it was in the pictures. Like when they were taking pictures, they would stop in that moment. Like, all right, it draws you,
Yeah,
and
that was
I
dope.
that was really cool. Um, it's believable. And it made everyone on the political spectrum, no matter what side, really upset because they were expecting something and then they see their side being attacked, which I also
Hmm.
like, right? And it's like, it's a couple things, like I've talked to a couple people who are pretty strong in like the political space and they're upset. They have their podcasts and all that stuff about,
About the
like,
movie.
oh, look, conservatives are being viewed this way or whatever. And I tell them, like,
That's interesting that they
well,
said that
because Nick
because it
Offerman's
didn't really pick a
president.
side.
No, exactly, because it could be either way. Like Nick Offerman's character, you can make the argument that, he's a fascist or he's a dictator, but he was doing all the things that a left-leaning president would do or has done to get to this point. And the states, arguably, that they're in are all right-leaning states that were going to overthrow him. So I don't know how this is attack on conservatives. I guess at that moment when those guys are dumping the bodies in that body pit, and it's like, what kind of American are you? That type of thing. But it's like, but that's a realistic melting point, right? Where it will boiling point where you see where that part of the country is just fed up with all this crap, and you see enough of these people who own guns, who are this right-wing militia type of guys, they live there. These are the kind of guys that are going to be out doing stuff in the Civil War. That's just the nature of it. You're not going to see these protesters at Columbia or in universities doing this stuff. They're already going to be dead or captured because they're useless. So it's going to be the guys with the weapons.
To be fair, both sides, right and left, be doing some killing. Like, I mean, we have those left guys who are shooting up schools.
Exactly. Like it's opportunity. It doesn't matter what spectrum you are. People are inherently bad, and they're going to do whatever they want when the moment calls for it. That's just how it is. It's like if things got so bad to a point where there was a civil war and there was there 5 different factions or 4 or 5, right? So you had the United States, you had Texas and California as one, so that's 2.
Which was deliberate by the filmmakers to see like these two opposing states actually join together against this.
Well, you know why, right?
Why?
Because they're the only 2 states that are republics in the country. You have the Republic of Texas and the Republic of California. So it makes sense that they would team up in something like this because, look, let's be real. Like, everyone just associates California with like a bunch of wackadoodles in like LA and San Francisco and stuff, right? Like, okay, but when it comes,
when you have a commercial by Kim Kardashian, yeah.
But when push comes to shove, California is a huge state. You got a lot of military bases. You got a lot of like ex-contractors, military cops. Like like I said, push came to shove and they had a coalition, they would overthrow that state and it would be just like what Texas is pretty much. It's very believable. So like it's deliberate in a sense. Like I think they measured the temperature of what each state and what front it would be correctly. And I thought that was interesting without actually really explicitly talking about it. You know what I mean? Like that was the really fascinating points that they never made a side on anything except to tell you like, all right, well, Kristen Dunst's character was a photographer during the Antifa riots in Washington or whatever, but it doesn't talk about anything else that happened with it.
Yeah, you never know which side is which I thought they was going to dive more deep into the logistics of that, but the movie itself is really about those reporters and witnessing what's going on. And I thought it was interesting to see, like, even in a civil war, it was supposed to be known like, hey, we're reporters, we can't be touched. It's kind of like war rules or whatever. But it was kind of interesting to see that scene where the hubrisness of, I forgot his name. I think his name is Joe in the movie, the main guy, the Hispanic guy. And he just walks up like, hey, he walks up to Jesse Plemons. He's like, hey, we're reporters. He's like, so? Like, what kind of American are you? He's like,
does it matter? Like, do you honestly think that people are going to follow the rules on this stuff?
Yeah, and I was surprised to see how many people did like follow the rules. They let the reporters tag along because I guess everybody's fighting for what they think is the right way for America. So,
well, the fronts aren't fighting with each other; they're kind of fighting independently, fighting against the United States. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're all for a common goal. That's the whole point.
Right.
They're not. So they never show each other fighting each other. Really, I mean, except for that moment when you have that sniper in the building and you have that front guy, and he's like, "Do you know who he is?"
No one's giving us orders.
No.
He's like, no.
He's
like, who's giving you orders?
No one. Like, do you know what you're doing here? You're just like, you even know what's going on type of thing. It's like, yeah, it's because this is what it is. When you have pandemonium like that, people are going to be acting crazy, like for survival. Like that's just how it is. I'm going to be doing.
Did you see that? Did you see that post online that said, "Hey, it's basically Walking Dead without zombies"? I was like, yeah, I feel that
Yeah,
100%.
it's kind of true, huh?
Yeah, it's very true.
Do you wish Nick
Um,
Offerman was in there more as the president? He was in there for like literally like 3 minutes.
yeah, he probably shot all his scenes in a day, and like in like maybe like 8 hours or something.
Beginning when he's doing his like inner monologue and his speech and stuff, and then at the end,
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. I felt like it would have been stronger, the movie itself, if you wanted to go down this route. That if you didn't show Nick Offerman in the beginning of the movie, if you only heard about the president, like, because they talked about him throughout the movie. Oh, the president. I thought it would have been better if you never saw who he was, if you never humanized this guy. And then at the end of the movie, the first time you see him is when he's on his back and he's like, don't let them kill me.
you know how that shot was. So I'm going to give you some. That shot is very reminiscent of when Saddam Hussein was captured out of his hole.
Yeah. Yeah. See, this is why you're on this podcast. Because all that stuff you explained about the left and the right was so elegant. I could have never thought of that. But
Well,
yeah, man. Like, am I wrong? Do you think that would have been better?
actually, I think there should have been more, and he should have been in the beginning because you want to have a humanization of it, right? Because there are people that agree with him. So if there's people you want to agree
True.
with, you have to characterize them in certain ways, like how did we get here? And if you're never going to pick a side, and he technically is a fascist or a dictator, however you want to put it, to the rebellious part of the country, right? The people that are defending him, why are they defending him? It's like the Donald Trump thing, right? There's a lot of people that disagree with him or think he's an awful human being, all this, but there's a loyal base that defends him to a T, thinking he's righteous, right? Not saying who's right or wrong, but that's just kind of like how the coalition lies. And it's the
Right,
same
because this
thing.
Secret Service, his whole staff was behind him.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the White House. And I'm like, they mentioned offhand that he led drone strikes on American citizens on American soil. So I'm like, what led to that point, and how was that even sanctioned? How did he even do that in America? Drove drones and killed. Like,
Exactly.
how does that even come to pass?
That's an extraordinary circumstance to even get to that point. Like, how did he even get
Yeah,
around? Like, it's one thing to have executive actions and orders to do stuff, but how are you even getting the military to like listen to do that?
yeah. Like, how does that even happen? Like, I guess they didn't want to explain it because they just wanted to tell the story they wanted to tell. And to get into the nitty gritty, you'd be like, that can't happen. That's not how law works. That's not how executive orders work. No, no soldier is going to do that.
Yeah.
No, like,
Well, we've had plenty of
oh
times in
yeah, yeah,
history where it's the opposite, right?
yeah, true, true, true. But on American soil, though, in North America, so, but maybe he meant maybe it was overseas on an American embassy. I don't know. They didn't flesh it out, so
That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
know.
Like they should have done more characterization with his side.
But I guess that just wasn't what they were aiming for. They wanted it to be a more personal story,
Yeah, it
you
wasn't
know.
about that. The Civil War is a background thing of what's going on. Really, what it is about these people trying to figure out how do they convey what's going on in an
Mhm.
objective way by just telling it in
Yeah, and
pictures. That's it.
the young girl, she's the eye of the audience because you're reacting with her because she has no idea what's going on. She's getting thrown into the fire. She just can't react. Um, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but what do you think about the end of it?
So Zero Dark 30, when they're doing the Osama bin Laden raid on his
Great
compounds,
movie.
great cinematography, right? Probably one of the best like scenes ever in history of Hollywood.
Shout out to Catherine Bigelow, the director. She's a great director. She also did Point Break, the original.
She was investigated by the CIA and the FBI for how did you know this operation because this was too accurate with what happened. So she obviously had some sources in the in the
Oh
CIA,
yeah,
which is fascinating, right? So she
right,
did
right.
this with the understanding she could be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, besides the point, it's kind of like that, right? So when they're going through the White House and they're like everything kind of like breaks through, and you have that foil, that fake, the distraction limousine, and then everyone's
Yeah.
breaking through and stuff. It's like, dude, this is real moment. Like you can tell it's like, nah, no one's taking prisoners on anything. We're just killing everyone, and we're not gonna take the risk. It's like, oh man, I feel
Like,
that.
dear God. Yeah. Like, it was like, she was like, yeah, bring him out here. We'll talk to him. We'll take care of him. I was like, oh, shit. Like, I thought they would want to take them in. And then you see that part and you're like, oh, nah, son, they're killing it.
How do
They
you
just,
feel about the her sacrificing herself for the girl to not to so she doesn't get shot by that Secret Service guy? And she takes
I thought
pictures
that
of him.
was, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like, for one, I'm an audience member thinking like instead of pushing her, you could have just tackled her and both of y'all could have laid down
It's
flat.
nonsensical,
But
I think, personally.
yeah, yeah, it's not. But it's also like this whole time you're seeing this woman Lee be this cynical, like her soul's almost dead because she's always been the one looking through the lens and she's never reacting. She's never trying to help. She's never trying to do anything. And she tells herself every time she takes a picture, I'm doing this. She justifies it by saying, I'm doing this to send a warning back home, right? And
Hmm.
then what happens? The same shit happens in America. So she feels like she's failed. She feels like shit. She feels like she's done nothing. Um, and then this young girl, I think she was so mad because she didn't want this young girl to become her. And in the end, this young girl becomes her. She becomes the new Lee. So it's kind of like when she dies and you see her face, it's kind of like she's like, dang, because she can see her taking pictures of her while she's getting shot.
Hmm.
So in that moment, I feel like Lee was just like, I failed anyway, so whatever, let me
Right.
die because this girl is now me. And you see it. Like, I forget the chick's name, but she just reacts, she gets up, and she goes on about her day. Even the guy, he's just like, Joe is just like, let's keep moving. We're so close. We're so close.
All right. So how do you feel about the ending with photographing Nick Offerman getting, spoken to, like interrogated, and then just shot a bunch of times?
So the movie itself feels like it just ends, like it's just chopped off. But I think the photo made it better. I like the fact that he's like, wait, I need a quote. And then he's like, please don't let them kill me. He's like, that'll do. I thought that was great. I thought that was good. And this is a guy who, from the beginning of the movie, tells you he wants to interview him. He will not be satisfied with just a quote. He wants a full profile. And then by the end, all his friends are dead, and he's just like, "Yo,
I'm
I just
happy
need a
with
quote."
I'm just happy with the quote.
Yeah, I'm just happy with a quote. He's done. He's exasperated. He's just like, "Let's just get this quote." And then he stands over. He's like, "That'll do." And they take the photo. I will say, even though I like the movie, I know you disagree with me on the pace of it. There's some choices in there that was just strange to me, and I'm wondering if that's Alex Garland's, the director, his what he wanted to do. Because if you watch the movie, it's a very tense and dark movie, but the saturation is boosted to the nine in it, and they usually only color grade movies like that if they're a sitcom or if they're a comedy. Like, I was like, why is this so bright and bubbly when it's about war? And then on top of that, the music choices
It's
were very strange.
I
It
think
was
it's
like
hope.
pop music.
It's like when it gets to a point where it's like on a high note, it's like hope, right? Like this is not going to last forever. There's a light at the end of the tunnel type of thing.
I think I think the reason he graded it like a comedy and then he chose those poppy songs was to show how
I
we're all
thought it was fake
desensitized
for
to
a
this
second.
shit.
I'm like, why is there music going on at this very moment? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it feels off. It feels like they're fighting each other, like the visuals and the music and the tone of the movie. I think it was intentional, like just like how the chick turned into the new Lee. I felt like it was him to try to desensitize the audience to what's going on. because we're constantly looking through things through our lenses, and we're
Our screens.
desensitized. So it's like, oh,
So it's our screens on
yeah,
the moment, like for like where you can see a beheading video and people are like, whatever, you know.
yeah, like, oh, another school shooting, oh, another suicide bombing, oh, another drone strike.
Pedophile ring getting busted and people are like,
Yeah, so I think that was why he did it. Um, it was strange to me, but at the same time, I get why he did it. And I saw that Alex Garland said this will probably be his last movie that he directs. I hope it's not. He's a great director. I would watch the movie again. It was a great movie. It was just some interesting choices I saw. You know, that's how I feel.
yeah. I mean, the production company does good work.
Oh yeah, A24.
I like this. I mean, we'll see. I think it was short too, right? So I felt like when it was
Mm-hmm.
slow, it was like slow, and then those moments were quickly rushed to get to that next moment. And yeah, I mean, I didn't feel one way or another about anything. Like I overall enjoyed it. I just yeah, like I said, it's just I wish that I wanted to see his side, how his side got to the where it was at a little more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, but I liked it. Um, but so next topic. I want to get your thoughts on the finale of Shogun.
Mm.
Is
I watched
that a
I
quote?
watched I watched Dune 2 again and that didn't change my mind too much.
That's a long movie to watch a second time. I saw it in the movies twice because I liked it. But for you, somebody who didn't really enjoy it, that's a lot of movie to watch a second time.
Yeah, I've put myself through worse. It's fine. It's like eating vegetables you don't like, all right? You make sure you rinse it with a lot of water and you just
Dear God.
so anyway, Shogun. So it's good. So a couple things that I have problems with though. So I felt like they were intentionally making the girl, what's her name?
Mariko?
Yeah, Mariko. Yeah, I'm really bad at Japanese names. That she was just going to come back out of the woodwork and that she's alive. I felt like every scene was just kind of like hinting at that, right? Like, oh, she's just going to come back. She ain't dead, even though she's clearly dead. You know what I mean? From the blast and stuff from the previous episode, but it's just, and you can tell that Toshigawa, right? His name?
Toranaga.
Toranaga. Thank you.
Hmm.
Toranaga's character, like he is clearly playing everyone because he is going to be writings on the wall. He's going to be the next Shogun historically too, right? And
Yeah.
so I mean, spoiler alert, guys. Like these are real people they're talking about. So
Yeah, their names are just changed for the book and for the show.
but the
Because
guy,
he's based on a real historic figure who
yeah,
becomes one of the people
and
who
his family,
unifies
his family is the last Shogun before they moved to Imperial Japan. And if you want to have a
Mhm.
history on that, you could play the Rise of Ronin on the PlayStation on PlayStation 5. It would give you an explanation of the final days of the Shogun before it goes into the Imperial nation of Japan. But
Yeah,
first off,
because
it's well
his
this show is well acted, dude. Like I'm telling you
oh
right
yeah,
now, all these guys, the tension you can cut with a butter knife no matter what. It's insane.
yes, yes. The acting's on point, the writing's on point, the cinematography, the directing is
The
amazing.
choices when they makes, like a couple episodes ago when his closest friend um committed suicide and then his son like checked him. I'm like,
Mhm.
he's like, oh, so another person's going to needlessly die out of your
Mhm.
whatever. And he's like,
But
and
that
then
was all part of the plan.
that was all part of the plan himself. He didn't let anyone know. He's sacrificing so much just for this very thing, right?
Yeah.
And then when he has the grand reveal that, oh well, the heir's mother is siding with me, I'm like, oh, of course she is, because he was the favorite. This guy was the favorite to the old Shogun. Like, he was the guy. So of course that he had something up his sleeve, and that's why everyone hated him.
Yes. Very true.
And then the
Out of
European guy
jealousy.
is just he's just doing whatever he's doing. You know what I mean? And I like the moments when he kind of can speak Japanese, like when he was speaking with him in Japanese, and then there were certain things he couldn't understand. And then when he was
Mhm.
about to commit suicide, he told him stop because he really needs him, right? And they're kind of
Mhm.
using each other, and they both think of
Right,
each other
right.
as like these like crazy heretics, barbarians, so to speak, right?
Savages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's. I mean, I like it. I think it's compelling, to say the least.
So the show is great as a whole. I love it. But you know me, I gotta nitpick.
Yes, all the time.
So I'm gonna nitpick a couple of things. One, I thought the way I thought the way episode 9 ended was great. I feel like episode 9 was peak Shogun for me.
Mm-hmm.
The peak of the show. Ended beautifully with the, spoiler alert, the death of Mariko. And
Yeah,
then and then
rough
episode 2 comes up.
pronunciation.
Damn it. I keep saying season or episode. Episode 10 comes up. And she looks like she just woke up in the morning and she washed her face. She looks fine. I'm like, how do you go from episode 9, at the end of episode 9, it looks like she's blown to pieces. And then episode 10, she looks fine. She's just like, He's like, no. I thought it would have been more impactful if her body was a little more scarred, because she was right on the door when the bombs went off, or if she was in pieces and he was crying over the pieces of her or something.
What do
Like,
you think about the choices for that? Because I felt like this was like a soap opera betrayal, change my mind type of thing, martyrdom thing. Like, so like they were attacking him on purpose and then ended up changing their minds, I guess, right? That's how it worked.
wait, you're talking about the shinobi, the ninja, was attacking him?
Yeah, so like when the explosion went off, right? And all
Yeah.
this, like it was targeted at him. Or I know Tornaga. What Tornaga, right?
So the
What's his
shinobi was to kill Mariko and all the people that was with Toranaga,
yes.
who were his supporters. Toranaga wasn't in the city. It was
Right. But no, what I'm saying is that, but he was the one that destroyed the door, though. He was the one that was attacking the house. He even admitted that.
no.
I'm
Oh, you're talking about he's the one who ordered the shinobi?
Yes, he's the one that ordered the house to be attacked, to blow
Yeah,
up.
by the shinobi.
Yeah. So like when he's talking to what's his face before he beheads him, right? And he's like, "Why am I explaining my plans to a dead man?" He was like, "Oh, so you're
Mhm.
the one that allowed the attack on the house to happen." He was like, "Yeah, some things had to have been done because he had to destroy his ship, right?" So he destroyed his
Mhm.
ship, so he keeps him landlocked, and then him constantly there. So I
So that speech, you might be right. That speech, I did kind of miss some of that speech. Um, but I know at the end of the speech, because Toranaga was portrayed as a certain way for all 9 episodes. At the end of the speech in episode 2, the speech 10 that you're talking about, I was like, "Oh, Toranaga, you're just another asshole."
well, all of
Because
them are because he comes across as this idealistic, like, oh, I want the old ways, and
right,
secretly he's just trying to overthrow all
mastermind.
of these people.
Yeah, so I'm like, at that point, I'm like, oh, so you're just admitting that you're just another asshole. You're just a smarter asshole who knows how to move armies without using the armies. Like he said, he sent in a woman to do what an army could not. Like he knew from Jump Street she had to die, whether if it was an attack on the house or if it was her committed seppuku. He knew she had to
Yeah,
die to
because he
change the
has,
hearts of everybody.
and not just him, but the European guy. What's his name? Black something? Blackwell? Black John?
Blackthorn, John
Blackthorn? I
Blackthorn.
was going to get the Blackthorn. No, but he knew they were going to have a thing, and they get intertwined, right? Like naturally, and it
Mhm.
just turned into, well, let's use that, and it changed how, because now he is devoted to him.
Mm-hmm. He. This is crazy. He tortured a whole village to turn the allegiance of one guy to him. He tortured the whole village so Blackthorn would be loyal to him. Like that's crazy. Like, bro, this is like this guy is playing beyond chess. He's playing some like you ever see those chessboards that are stacked on each other?
Yeah,
That's
it's
what he's
3D
playing.
chess. I have a board. It's from Star Trek, but yeah, I have.
And he admits that he was the one who ordered Mariko to tell the church to destroy the ship for the life of John. I'm like, you're playing way beyond what people are playing, and
He's just letting
you're
his
just
own
another. You're
people die and just go through all this crap just so he can
yeah,
out the
you're just a
knights or
smart asshole, and you're telling yourself you're not because your goal is justified in your mind. You want to unify Japan. Yes, that sounds great, but the way you're doing it is just wild, bro. Like people worship this guy. They think he's like the smart guy who cares about people. They think of him as a people's champ. Let's say that because he's one guy going against four different families, four or five different families,
Yeah.
and he's like, this is the people's champ. But really, he's like I don't know, like pick a smart guy like Tony Stark, Elon Musk, or whatever, who's just sitting there like, oh, I had to let them die. Yeah, I knew he was going to die because I ordered it, I arranged it. But look at the outcome. Look what's happening. And
Yeah,
I
his
thought
son. He when his son died, he's like, "Well, fortunate for me, I have others."
yeah,
It's like, wow.
and I was like, oh, that's why your son grew up to be a little dickhead because he had a father like you asshole. Like what the hell? Like his son was so annoying. I was like, oh, get him out of here. But I'm like, I
They
can't
got
blame
him
him
out of
for
there. All
growing up
right.
like that. And it's crazy because his father, like the kid, that wasn't part of his plan. His son dying, but he was like, oh, thank God he did. He gave me an extra 30 or 45 days. I forgot what it was. I was like, damn, this guy is cold. Like not he didn't even shed a tear. He was just like, "Oh, this gives me some extra time. Let me think of some. Let me." I was like, "What? This is crazy." And this guy, no, he's so smart to the T that he doesn't have to tell anybody his plans. He knows the behavior of everybody. He knows what they're going to do before they do it. He looked at John and Mariko and he was like, "Oh, they're going to smash." Like the way they look at each other is palpable.
I don't
And you
blame
know
him.
what? I'm going to make her stay in the same house as him on purpose. And then I'm going to tell her husband to go into the house on purpose. So that's going to cause a rift between them and me because he's going to hate me for putting him in that situation and putting his wife in that situation. And so it's going to make it easy for him to be like, Dad, kill me. Let me die with you. Like, yo, this dude is playing like tabletop chess. It's crazy. And he admits everything at the end of the episode 10. And then I'm like, you're just another asshole. you're, and my thing is, why did they end it like that? Because everything about this show, before and while it was on, they were saying this is a limited series. This is the only season. And then they ended to be like, they ended very open endedly to the point that Toranaga standing over. This is the one name I can't pronounce. Yobashige, yeah, Yobashige,
Yeah, when
and
they're
he's
pulling
like,
the boat out
"Why?"
of the water with the rope, right?
No, when he's about to kill the guy
Oh,
who was
okay.
betraying him, Yobashige, his nephew or whatever, the guy who was
Yeah,
double
he was
crossing
playing
him all
both
the time.
sides, but he knew he was playing both
Yeah,
sides.
yeah, he was using that, and so that's why he wasn't mad too. That's why he's like, "I'm just gonna kill you." he was like, "Yo, tell me your plan." He's like, "Why would I tell my plan to a dead man?" I was like, "Why would so tell him so you can tell the audience? We're not getting another season, so why are you ending it this way?" It was just an odd
So
choice
what
to
if they
me.
changed their minds on that?
That's what I'm thinking because I'm like, you keep saying this is a limited series. This is.
Yeah.
It seems like you only wanted one season, but then you end everything very open endedly, and instead of an actual victory at the end, you just make it an emotional victory
Yeah.
for Blackthorn and everybody around Blackthorn. Her Bentaro, Fuji, even Yobushige, who has to commit seppuku when he gets his head chopped off. It's kind of an emotional end for him,
Right.
to where even like when Toranaga's like, "I'm not going to tell you shit," Yobushige is just like, "All right," takes place. He did it so fast. It was like surprising. He was just like, turns around, smiles at him, like, "Yeah, bro." And then Toranaga smiles at him, like, "Yo, that's my boy." Like, even though like you knew he was betrayed, they had a weird relationship where
Relationship.
he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." It's almost like he was like, "I like this guy. Like he entertains me." The same thing he said about Blackthorn. He was like, "I keep him alive because he makes me smile. He makes me laugh." I'm like, not one time in that show did you smile or laugh at Blackthorn. So how are we supposed to know he makes you laugh? But I was like, you just kept him alive just for that. Like, I don't know. But see, that's where I'm confused about the Shinobi because it seemed like uh Oshido ordered the ninja because he went to Yobushige, was like, you I need you to do one last task, and then it cuts to the scene where he's letting the shinobi in. So I think Toranaga knew that if Mariko didn't kill herself, he knew that Oshido wouldn't let anybody leave, and he would probably kill them. So I don't know,
But
maybe
she's been
maybe
wanting this.
Toranaga
She wanted
himself.
to die anyway, so she got what she wanted.
Yeah, which is why because I was even asking myself, why won't Toranaga let her kill herself? Like, why is he keeping her alive? Oh, because he needs her to kill herself at the right time.
Yeah, for
Oh,
Blackthorn to get him on the right side at the right moment.
and I love her scene where she's just telling off the whole council. She's like, "Nah, I'm gonna leave when I want to leave, and you're gonna let me talk." I was like, "Oh, man, let's go!" Like, shout out to Anna Sawai. I can't pronounce her last name, but she killed it in this show. Everybody killed it in this show, but she really stood out. She had a lot to do, and she really stood out, and
Yeah.
I thought it was dope. I thought the show was dope. I love it. I'll watch it again. It was just interesting choices at the end that it seemed like they wanted more. Maybe they didn't have the budget to do everything they wanted to do, like with war and stuff like that. So maybe they're like, "Hey, you see how good we did season one? Let's get a second one so you can see more stuff." It's like, oh, okay, give us a bigger budget.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So yeah, we liked it. That's summary of it.
yeah, it's dope. It's dope. Y'all should check it out. You got anything else to add?
I this Japanese theme stuff that's going on is fascinating. See if it keeps it up.
Yep. Yeah. Even in video games, video games. It's just like we talked about in that one podcast, like how there's Hollywood trends, zombies, vampires, then Vikings. Now it seems like it's Japanese culture. So,
Bring back
yeah.
vampires.
I think they're coming back, man, with that movie Abigail, that movie The Last Voyage of the Demeter. There's a new Dracula movie starring Bill Skarsgård as Dracula. Did you see that? I mean, there's no trailer, but there's
I've heard
there's
about it.
reports of
Yeah,
it.
I've seen stuff on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's not
fascinating.
Nosferatu. Nosferatu is a remake,
Yeah.
so that's going to be interesting. Either that or Bram Stoker's Dracula. I don't know.
I
I'm.
let's see
It's late. I don't know.
what's coming out. I don't even know what's coming out recently. I have no idea. All right, I'm gonna watch Rebel Moon this
Me too.
evening, and I will tell you how bad it is.
I will look forward to that, and I would like to hear you rant for one time.
I'll give you a rant next time we do this. How about that? I'll do a 5-minute unfiltered rant about how awful he makes his movies and all that crap.
All right. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So, well, my nomads, I hope you learned something. Uh, watch Civil War, watch Shogun. Shout out.
And Rebel Moon.
Peace. Be creative. Oh, yeah, watch Rebel Moon.